Hey there, brilliant people. So today's question is, why do people enable narcissists? So this is a tricky question, but an important one. Why do people enable narcissists? Because narcissists, obviously they're a handful. But the truth is, if it was just the narcissist themselves, it wouldn't really be such a problem, because even though they make a lot of noise, they're actually a very small percentage of the population. And it isn't the narcissists themselves. If it was just them doing all the stuff they do, except that there are people that, for whatever reasons, which we're going to talk about, they enable the narcissist. And in other words, they support the narcissist. They literally enable the narcissist to really have a bigger impact than the narcissist would on their own. So the question is, like, when we all know, well, if you know anything about narcissism, and I have talked about it a little bit before on the channel, and I know that this channel is about intuition, but one of the things that really can get in the way of us being able to really live an intuitive life is if people are kind of trying to take advantage of us. And let's face it, that's what narcissists are all about. So we want to make sure that we don't end up enabling narcissists, but we also want to be able to recognize when somebody else is enabling a narcissist, because a lot of the times if one person says to us, oh, that's never going to work, well, we can just keep going. You know, we believe in our intuition, we're just going to keep going. But when it's one person and their enablers tell us, oh, it's never going to work, or whatever negative thing they say, it's much harder to keep going. But when you recognize that, oh, well, that's actually just one person and their enablers, again, it may not be easy, but it is easier to keep going. So let's talk about enabling. You know, why does somebody enable a narcissist? Well, obviously I'm not, a psychologist, so a lot of what I'm talking about is just my observations of narcissism out there in the world, growing up with narcissism in the family, and also we're helping my clients handle these situations. So what I call it, I call this narcissistic thrall, because it is very much with real enablers. It's like they are in thrall to the narcissist, which obviously the narcissist really loves this. But the question is why? How do people fall into this? And essentially, it is similar to an addiction. Let me explain that. So with an addiction, what actually happens is you take whatever the addictive element is and you get some kind of a high. Now, the truth is, with these highs, it's because primarily it's doing damage to your body, and your body is releasing all of these endorphins and all of these sort of chemicals inside your body to handle the damage. And that's what gives you the high. It's very similar to the runner's high. Like if somebody is running, marathon runners know it, they call it, running through the wall, I think. It's like once they've done enough damage to their body is flooded with endorphins, because their body goes, oh, well, if you have to keep running, whatever you're running away from, this must be really serious. So we've got to enable you to keep running, even though you are now damaging your body. So the body is flooded with endorphins in order to enable you to keep running. So this is similar to what happens with an addiction. You take some substance, it does damage to you, it's particularly noticeable with substances that may do damage to the brain, but whatever the form of damage is. So your body is flooded with endorphins, and that feels really good, actually, because your endorphins are kind of like your internal opium, only that endorphins are much more powerful than opium. And then what happens is, after a while, the substance in your body starts to drop, and then all the endorphins start to switch off, and then you feel terrible because you're actually now in withdrawal. And why that feels so terrible is because you can now feel how much damage you've done to your body. It's, for example, if you drink too much alcohol, you're likely to have a hangover. The thing is that this then gets us into a high withdrawal cycle, because sometimes we kind of get the messages back to front. We think that because we feel terrible after we've stopped taking whatever poison it was, then because we feel terrible, we think that we're feeling terrible because we haven't had enough of whatever the poison was. Hence people talk about hair of the dog. Like, if you have a hangover, go and have another drink, and you will feel better because now you're getting another release of endorphins. But what it means is you're now getting another high. And so then you'll get another withdrawal. And then if with the withdrawal you take, whatever your drug is, this is why you get onto this high withdrawal cycle, because you think that you're feeling terrible because of the lack of the chemical, but actually you're feeling terrible because of the damage that the chemical has done. So until you really understand where the terribleness is coming from, that it's actually coming from feeling the drug, but those feelings are delayed because your body is doing its best to help you survive. Until we understand that, we often think that the solution or the cure is to just having more of the drug. And so this is how we get addicted. So in a similar way, this is what happens with narcissists, except that it's an emotional addiction. So if you know much about narcissists, you'll understand that when you first meet narcissists, it can be a very intoxicating feeling. They will often really focus on you. They'll figure out everything about you that you love. They'll give you all this attention, and they'll give you everything that you're looking for. It's called love bombing. And then when they've got you hooked on the love bombing, firstly, partly because they can't maintain it, and also partly because, just like any drug dealer, got to give you a free sample, they will then withdraw the love bombing behavior. They'll stop it. And so that it's either implied or outright stated that it's your fault that the love bombing has stopped. And this is to get you to go scrambling after them for more of the drug, more of the love bombing. And the thing is, that is well demonstrated by the fact that if you go, all right, well, obviously this isn't going to work, and you start to withdraw from the narcissist, then you will get another love bomb. You'll get the charm offensive will be turned back on again. And the whole idea is to get you sort of addicted to the little bits of emotional drug that they're handing out. And that's what I call narcissistic thrall. Because once you're really sort of emotionally addicted to whatever little scraps of positivity that they give out, well, they can, in effect, start charging more and more for their drug. Like, you have to kind of start giving them more and more, and that's how you get turned into an enabler. So this is essentially people who are in thrall to a narcissist, people who are enabling a narcissist. They're essentially emotional addicts. And in fact, there's some science behind this as well, like the kind of sort of thrill that people get with the initial love bombing. It's very similar. Well, it's not similar. You do get a dopamine release, which is why sometimes after you've met a narcissist, you feel really great at the time you're talking to them, but you will often feel a bit of a crash afterwards, like it's a dopamine crash. So literally a withdrawal, an emotional withdrawal. Whereas with healthier emotions, just like eating, healthy food, eat a salad, it may not be such a rush as eating ice cream, but you will feel good afterwards. You won't feel terrible. You won't have this crash afterwards. You won't get on this sort of sugar addiction, or because it is actually healthy. And so in a healthy relationship, you will get a balance of serotonin and oxytocin and some of these other neurochemicals. You will actually get the neurochemicals of actually healthy connection and bonding. So, yeah, I mean, narcissism is a mental disorder. So is enabling. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it is that it's very obvious if we look at some of the situations in the world. There are some people in power at the moment. I don't think I need to name them, but there are some people in power at the moment who are demonstrating all the characteristics of narcissism. And it isn't just them. It's the people around them who are enabling them. It's all a form of mental illness. And of course, if they're the people who are running, country and organization, well, yeah, it's a bit problematic. So what can we do? Well, first of all, recognize it ourselves, whether if we are enabling a narcissist, well, just like if we have a drug addiction or any kind of addiction, we need to do whatever therapy we need to do to be able to get ourselves off that drug. It's an emotional addiction, so we need emotional therapy. So whatever that looks like for you. And also, if it's with other people, it's understanding that it isn't just the narcissist, it's the enablers. Now, hopefully some of these people can, just like any drug addict, can be helped to stop being a drug addict. But just like a drug addict, you've got to want to get off the drug. Some people, for whatever reason, that rush that they get from whatever scraps of approval the narcissist gives them, that is more important than actually creating something positive in the world. So when you're looking to build alliances, when you're looking to find healthy connections in your life, which is what you need to do, because it isn't just about getting healthy yourself. You want to actually build healthy connections, because that is what is really going to help you be stable in your own life, but also build stability in your community, in your families and in your communities. And it's when you have those healthy, stable connections, really that is the kind of antidote to narcissism and narcissistic thrall. So, not such a happy talk today, I guess, but I think an important one, because if we have ever fallen into narcissistic thrall ourselves, that's definitely a way for us to lose our brilliance. And we want to make sure that we do continue to remember that we're brilliant.